Let's get to some of the trenders in today's market. I'm joined at the desk by our very own Josh Schaefer. You can scan the QR code below to track the best and the worst performing stocks here of the session. There we have it here. All right, let's talk more broadly speaking and take a macro view. The S&P right now as we look ahead to President Trump's inauguration on Monday. When you take a look at the S&P 500 historically, the index tending potentially to rally in the 3 months following a presidential inauguration. This is according to data coming out from Jefferies. So if this trend plays out, would it be a relief here for investors who saw that the post-election rally stall out at the end of 2025, end of 2024, the start of 2025? I guess how much should we really be buying into this theory? Historically speaking, it's obviously always hard to predict the future, but I guess maybe we should be a little comforted.
Well, past performance is no indication of future results, right? Should we start with that? Should we start with this time might be different? But I guess I will lay out the case, Shauna, for why this time could be a little bit different, right? So we have a story that's going up over the next couple of days explaining how a president has never really entered a stock market like this one, right? So yes, we have a new president come in every 4 years, but take a look at the equity market right now. You have 40% of stocks, or basically 10 stocks in the S&P 500, right? About 40% of the index is just the top 10 stocks in the market. Mm-hmm. Valuations are at about levels that we saw in 2021 and not seen other than that, than the dot-com bubble, right? We're in a Fed period right now where we're wondering, is the cutting cycle over? Could they potentially hike at some point this year? You were just speaking with a strategist who argued that conversation's largely over, but that conversation could come back, right? There's just a lot of things happening right now that don't necessarily have to do with the incoming president, Donald Trump, and don't necessarily have to do with his policies either. Then when you add that in, there's a lot going on there, but I do think you can take the Jefferies note and also spin it positively and think about what Bank of America's Michael Hartnett said today about Trump potentially just being supportive of the stock market, right? And those takes still exist, right? Deregulation is good for financials. Trump's America First policies could be good for small caps. We saw those rallies play out in the month after the election. They dissipated, so now maybe they actually have a little bit of room to run. I think there's a part of this. We had the post-election rally. We came back a little bit. Well, at least Trump isn't entering the stock market at its peak like it felt like he was going 3 weeks ago, right? Some of these trades, financials, small caps, even the S&P 500, are not back at the levels they were peak post-election. So there is a little bit more optimism that is perhaps not fully priced in at that level.
I guess also the question is how much maybe does the strategy really need to change, just given the fact that we could see an increase in volatility because of the fact that we could see more of a whipsaw nature. Maybe it's not the best way to describe it, but back and forth, flip-flopping here, coming out from the administration, and maybe how much of that is going to be preemptively already priced into the markets just in terms of trying to get ahead of the news rather than reacting to it.
Yeah, it's a question of what feels least priced in right now, right? And I think what strategists would tell you is probably least priced in would be perhaps the U.S. economy underperforming, right? If some of these policies turn out to actually hurt economic growth. Right now, the market is sort of positioned for a U.S. exceptionalism sort of trade, probably a strong dollar, probably rates continue to remain relatively high. If those things start to reverse pretty aggressively, I think that would sort of shift the narrative here. So it's really about what has the market already started to anticipate with Trump. So if the dollar keeps chugging a little bit higher, that's not necessarily shocking at this point, right? That's been the trade. Mm-hmm. It's if that doesn't happen, what does that actually mean for the market? And that I think would cause even more volatility, and we'll start to maybe get some of those answers in the next couple weeks, months. I think that's the looming question, right? Is how long does it actually take for some of these policies? Specifically, I'm thinking tariffs. Everyone wants to talk about it right now. It's the big talking point on earnings calls. It was the big talking point in the Fed beige book. People are really waiting to hear what happens there. How long does it actually take to get answers? Because I agree, it's going to be jittery until we do.
Yeah, exactly. We heard a little bit from Bessent yesterday, and he kind of tamped down some of those wild expectations when it comes to tariff, maybe pointing more towards the fact that it could be more of a negotiating tactic. But time will tell. All right, Josh, thanks.